Hey you, my name is Tomska Ridgewell, and I am not depressed, which feels very weird to be saying, and I'm not really sure that's actually how it works. What I'm trying to say is that while I am still a diagnosed depressive, I am not currently going through an episode. I am not in a depressive state, and that's something I wanted to talk about, acknowledge, maybe even celebrate a little bit, because if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that in 2013 I was diagnosed with severe depression. I made a bunch of videos about it since, and if you've followed my weekly or monthly vlogs, you'll know that it comes up and sort of defines my life in many ways, and it's currently not an issue. Let's talk about that. In case you're unaware, here is a little catch up on my journey so far. In 2013, likely brought on by stress and grief, I fell into my first depressive episode. I was diagnosed with severe depression, I got a therapist, I started medication, but over the following year, it kind of just got worse. I was pushing people away, I'd lost all my aspirations, nothing made me feel really anything anymore, and I started to develop an even unhealthier relationship with food, and by the end of 2014 I was well on the way to obesity. In 2016 I actually started to get a little bit better. I'd moved into a new house, I'd kind of finished renovating it, things were going pretty well. I was actually going to make a video a lot like this one, but then I fell into the deepest depression I've ever experienced, and I'm not going to say suicidal, because I don't want to take away from the people out there that are actually going through that. But suicidal ideation, the obsession with suicide, constantly thinking about it, became a very large and defining factor in my life. I also very sincerely believed that I was an objectively bad person, that I was undeserving of love or happiness or anything. It was bad, basically. But for the past year or so, I have been on a fairly steady incline, to the point that a few months ago I realized, hey, I'm not thinking about depression. I'm not defined by it at this current time. And that takes us to where we are now. In this video, I also want to talk about how I got better and share some of the perspectives I've picked up during my journey. But in case you just wanted to come for the update and you're about to click away, I really need to quantify that while I am not in a life-defining depressive slump, I do still experience depression. It's just more day by day instead of month by month. Some days, yes, I will still wake up in a depressive episode, and it is so hard to get out of bed and get myself motivated, and sometimes I will fall into a slump of thinking I am undeserving of love, or I will just abruptly lose interest in everything and just feel numb, but it is nowhere near as severe as it has been. So that's why I'm classing this as not a defining issue at this present time. Does that make sense? Let's move on. Now, the reason I threw up a couple air quotes when I said I wanted to talk about how I got better is because unfortunately, I don't really have a clear and concise answer, a nice little solution to package up and share with you if you are going through the same experiences. And that is for one of two reasons. One is I don't really know. I don't really know what I've done or what I've changed that has improved my life. And two, time has given me the wisdom to know that when people watch these videos, they are looking for solace and for answers, and it would be deeply irresponsible of me to just share my experiences and do so knowing that you would take them away and think if you applied those that they would necessarily work for you. So I can't and I won't. But what I can say is that maybe around about June, I realized for the first time in a long time that I wanted to be alive. Self-preservation went out the window for me in around 2016. I'd been on a pretty successful diet, I'd fallen off it, I failed, and that was when I sank as low as I could, and I just really stopped caring. And I started eating and drinking with the passive intention of just going until my body gave out. Like I said, I woke up in June and suddenly I was like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to no, thank you. And it wasn't out of, fear or self-loathing. It was just, it came from a place of self-love. Just saying, not even saying, just feeling. I just felt different. And I began a much more active self-care journey after that. But it just kind of happened. One of the things that I do feel comfortable sharing, though, because I think it's quite unique to my experiences, is that I've been on a journey of self-improvement and forgiveness and redemption and just letting go of demons. That's obviously just a mishmash of words, but I've been harboring a lot of grudges and guilt and regrets and remorse and anger and so much stuff. I've been clinging so hard onto the past, and this year in particular I've been working very hard to set things straight, to untangle the wires, to reach out to the people I've hurt and the people who have hurt me. I think the culmination of this was the master post that I put out, where I detailed all of the discrepancies and missteps that I've had in my time online. And I think a lot of people thought that was an act of, self-flagellation. That was me saying I'm a terrible person, but it really, that was me trying to own up to everything and put things to bed and be able to move on. And honestly, for me, it worked. This is not saying that you should do the same. Please don't make a blog post talking about all the shitty things you've ever done, because you might have a real job that you can get fired from. So don't necessarily do that. This is why I don't want to share all the things that work for me. But that is something that definitely helped a lot, was coming to terms with and making peace with other people and myself. And I'd say that's definitely what got me over the hurdle of believing very sincerely that I am a bad person. I do now find myself saying, you deserve better. And that's something I haven't said to myself in a long time. Or ever. Okay, let's move on to potentially the most valuable part of this video. The part where there are going to be things you could actually maybe take away. The perspectives I've gained and the things I've learned so far in my 5-year journey and relationship with depression. One thing that's different is now I am very in tune with myself and my relationship with my mental health. When things first kicked off, I was very scared and overwhelmed, and I didn't know what was going on, why I felt this way. I didn't know if it would ever stop. At one point, I just had resigned myself to thinking, well, this is just who I am now. That old me is dead, and this is me. And I'll probably just end up topping myself at some point. I really did believe that. But as time's gone on, as I've gone through so many highs and lows, I've learned to recognize the signs. I've learned to know what's going on with me, even predict it. And that's enabled me to communicate with my friends. So whereas when things first kicked off, I would isolate people, I would push them away. Now I know what's going on and I don't feel so completely overwhelmed. Fuck, I'm about to faint. Oh, okay, that was weird. Let's let's move on. I am healthy, for the record. I don't know where the fuck that came from. Another valuable perspective I've gained is the knowledge that depression passes. At least for me. It rolls over like waves, and sometimes the tide is high and I stay under the waves for quite a while, but at least for me it has a tendency to come and go, and the knowledge that it does so helps me get through the lowest lows. Even when I am feeling truly desolate and hopeless, I at least have the logical knowledge that it will pass, that there will be another day. And it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but there will be another day where I'm feeling okay, where I'm feeling like this. And these are the days that I can live for, and that helps immeasurably. On a similar note, the knowledge that things come and go has made it a lot easier for me to be merciful towards myself, to forgive myself when I'm in a hole or when I'm stuck in bed and just can't do anything and don't want to do anything. I used to be so angry about it. I used to be so frustrated with myself, like kicking a car that's broken down and saying, work, you piece of shit. But knowing that it comes, and after a while and a bit of self-care, it goes, I accept it and I don't get angry and I don't hate myself for it, because I know that ultimately it's not my fault. It's just something that happens. And yes, there are things I can do to make it easier and to get myself through it, and I do those things. And that's all that I can really ask of myself. The last thing I want to mention is that while I'm very good at gauging my depressive episodes, seeing them coming from a mile away, figuring out where I am during them and where in the depressive arc I may be, I'm not very good at figuring out where on the upward slope I may be. And I want to mention this because depression isn't like a pizza in the oven. You can't just pull it out and see how it's coming along. And I used to treat it like that. I used to get very I'm gonna fucking sit down again, shit dick ass. God damn it. I'm gonna take this jumper off and reveal the incredibly inappropriate t-shirt I'm wearing today.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I didn't think I'd have to take the jumper off, Elliot, okay? I didn't think I'd have to take the jumper off. Oh, that is already so much better. Oh my god, I didn't realize how sweaty I was. And that's because depression isn't like a pizza in the oven that you can pull out and just check how close it is to being done. It's something that will run its course, and you don't necessarily have much control over that. You can do the best you can, but the best you can do is focus on the day by day, one day at a time. Don't worry about if you're going to be okay tomorrow or a week from now, because the good days kind of just sneak up on you. At least they do for me. This is my experience, and it all comes back to mercy, in forgiving myself and not getting frustrated and angry about being in a depressive state. I just accept it, I embrace it, I do challenge it, I do work to be better, but I know that it's going to do what it's going to do, and it doesn't define me. It's just a major inconvenience, and that's okay. Okay, that's it for this video. Hopefully I haven't now jinxed my currently positive mental health and I'm about to plummet into another depressive episode, but even if I do, I'll go down knowing that I will get out again and I'll be armed with the tools that I at least need to get myself through it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on Monday for another video. Tomska out.